Samuel, quite a bit of renewed interest in the Nigerian markets. What are you making of the bullish run that seems to have been triggered on the Nigerian market right now?
Hi, Alishia. Good morning. And morning to you too, Wole. We've seen the bullish run in the last 1 week, and that is quite a relief from what has been in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks in the market. And what we've seen is a gain of about 8.8% over the last 1 week. And that is very good for the market and returns some confidence to investors. What we hear is that there is a bit of international investors playing in the market right now, and we hope that this trend will continue for a little while longer.
Yeah, you're right there, Samuel. That's what I'm hearing. That it's really the internationals that are driving the market. But at what point do you think the locals will get involved?
Well, we believe that the locals should have been involved by now, because what you have seen, the trend that we have seen in the market, at least for this year, is that with every appreciation that we see, after a little while, you see profit takers trying to and make some profit for their books. And so we expect that to happen also very soon. So for the local players, if they have not played in the market in the last 1 week and do not participate this week, then I hope they have not been too late to the party.
To what extent, Samuel, is local involvement pulling back simply because they have their ears closer to the ground in terms of the questions that still need to be answered when it comes to the fundamental playing field over in Nigeria?
Well, Alishia, I would say that stocks are not trading based on fundamentals right now, because if you look at the market, really, there is reeking of value in terms of fundamental values in many stocks right now. But what you have is that when people see value, there's yet no liquidity to chase the value that they have seen. And so whilst the local investors can see value, they don't just have the liquidity. You would reckon that a lot of things are happening right now with the banking industry, with AMCOM just trying to come up, and with the elections staring us in the face. We're hoping that the issues of liquidity will come back. And now the CBN has taken a new drive to try and deal with higher interest rates, and that would put further squeeze on liquidity. So local investors can see, but and they can hear what is happening in terms of valuation, but liquidity is a major concern for local investors. Now, for the foreign investors, they have the liquidity, and they can also see and hear the valuations that we have.
Mm-hmm. But obviously, Samuel, if we look back, the foreign investors really are the ones that have been driving the market most of this year. And obviously, we've seen the volatility, we've seen the market spike in April. It's come down, it's really come off those highs. If the locals don't get involved, do you think we can see a sustained bull run?
I don't think so. I think that to a large extent, the locals will have to get involved. The locals will have to play their part in sustaining this bull run, because for the internationals, remember that they are here to make a decent buck on the dollar. And so for whatever investments they make, they're also watching at the upside in the companies that they're investing in. And once they see that they're getting decent returns based on capital appreciation, remember that most of the international investors are not here for dividends or for bonuses. Mm-hmm. They're here for capital appreciation. So once they get decent capital appreciation, they're going to take their profits, which is rightly so. But for the local investors who have long-term approach, who can raise the required funds, it will be advisable to ride with the market, especially when the market tanks. You can enter at decent prices and hope to ride with any bull run that happens.
Well, you know, what's interesting is that we're making this distinction between the local investor and the foreign investor and the kind of appetite they're seeing. From your encounters with traders over on that end, I mean, what's it looking like when it comes to appetite for non-banking stocks versus banking stocks, so on a sectoral basis?
No, clearly there's more appetite for the banking stocks. I mean, if you look at the trend this year, up to recently, the banking index has been negative, but obviously non-banking indices, particularly in the foods and beverages sector, we've seen quite a strong rally in many of those counters. We've seen companies like Nestle, which is the highest price stock on the exchange, well over 300 naira now. So there is an appetite because of the uncertainty in the banking sector. I think more people have just moved a bit more defensive and gone into other stocks, really.
Well, Samuel, let's bring you in here because, I mean, Wole has highlighted Nestle specifically. I mean, it's sitting at 300 naira thereabouts. It's the highest priced counter in absolute terms on the bourse. And where some are saying it's expensive, should we be looking at it as a case of, is it going to get any cheaper?
Well, for Nestle, it's typically been an expensive stock, and right now it's trading at about 360 naira, and that is pretty high. We don't really see any massive upside from that price. What has happened is that based on the uncertainties in the banking industry, people have looked elsewhere where they can get value and can get decent capital appreciation. And of course, the food, beverage and tobacco subsector has gained from that. Apart from Nestle, even if you look at that sector, Dangote Sugar hasn't done badly. Also breweries, Nigerian breweries hasn't done badly. Some of these stocks in the last 1 week have actually outperformed the NSE All Share Index.
Yeah, we saw a huge trade on Dangote Sugar, which you mentioned just now. But in that space, you know, the non-banking space, which stocks are looking interesting to you right now?
Well, I'll say that Dangote Sugar is looking very interesting. I'll say Ashaka Cement is looking interesting. I'll say Nigerian Breweries also, because these are stocks you can't go wrong with in terms of the products that they provide in the market are staple products. And for Nigerian breweries, for instance, their business is a bit cyclical, and you expect that as we go into the festive period, as we go into elections, as we go into the Christmas period, that they'll make better returns in the last quarter of the year. So it'll be wise to stay focused on such firms. Also, Dangote Flour, with their new product on the market, the noodles business that they've just gone into, we expect to see decent returns from those companies. So those are companies we're looking at very closely.
And then maybe finally, when do you think we will see a pullback? Do you think it's likely to happen this week? We know the market gained 3% on Monday, just over 2% yesterday. Obviously, the momentum is declining. Do you think that we might see this bull runs extending to next week?
Well, I expect that this week will close the way it started, in the sense that the bull run has started to taper down a bit, because what's going to happen is that profit takers will definitely need to take the profits that they've made in the past week. Because if you look at where the market has been from year to date, this last week compared to about a month ago has been very interesting, and you expect that people will continue to take profits. And now if this profit taking continues till Friday, I expect that the bull run will not continue till next week. But it will be interesting to see how it plays out.